And here we have our final story, which is Grounded. It is the prologue to the story that is coming up in Superman 701. This one is called The Slap Heard Around the World. We start off with Superman in front of a courthouse. He decided to call a committee meeting, call several meetings, to discuss the actions and probably just to explain what happened about the recent incident and the things that broke out while he was gone, and to assure the public that he's back and these type of things won't happen again. So we have some reporters here. They're asking him all types of questions. One reporter right here asked him, there are some people who feel you have gotten so wrapped up in that other world. She's referring to New Krypton. How do you respond to that? And Superman, he didn't have an answer for that. And Superman knows that he's going to have to win these people's trust back, so he's all for that. He's all going to do that. So Superman, Green Lantern, and the rest of Justice League, they're going to start setting up some early warning stations outside of Earth so that they know that if any threats or anything come, that they'll be able to stop it before it gets to Earth, so they won't have to do anything like the last minute. They'll have a couple of hours or maybe a couple of days to go ahead and intervene in the threat before it even hits Earth. And while in the middle of this interview, these question and answer sessions are good, a lady out of the crowd just comes up and she just slaps him right across the face. Everybody's in shock, like, the hell are you? You can't just do that. And someone's like, get her out of here. Superman, being the hero that he is like, no, let her talk. Because apparently she has something important to say if she's just going to come up and slap Superman in the face, knowing that it didn't hurt him, as she's already stated. She can't hurt him, but she wanted him to feel that because her husband died. The man that she got married to right out of high school. He had a brain tumor in his head. The doctors couldn't do anything for him. They said they couldn't even operate. But she's saying that if Superman was there, he could have used his X-ray vision inside of his head, could have seen the tumor, and he could have got rid of it without any need for any operation, and everything would have been fine. So basically, she is blaming Superman for not being there, not being on Earth and helping the people that really needed to be helped when he was out there in space, helping another planet or other people that don't really care about him or something like that. So then she storms off, and then they turn to ask Superman another question. So what are you going to do? And then they see him flying off. So he's going to have to go and think about what just happened. So he goes to the tower located right outside of Earth's atmosphere. It's him and Batman. Batman is going over the specs and everything about how the early global warning system is going to work and things like that, and just basically giving him a little overview of things and how it's going to work. And then so Batman wanted to ask what exactly is Clark doing up there, and he turns around and he disappears. And Batman makes this little comment right here that says, now I know how Jim Gordon feels, which is kind of funny because every time him and Gordon talk and Gordon turns to say something important, Batman's always gone. So now Batman knows how he feels. So that was a little joke they threw in there. And then we have Superman here leaning against a tree, just sitting there contemplating the events of what just happened. And then all of a sudden we have a blur of light just flies past him. And then about a couple of seconds later it comes back, and of course it's the Flash. And the Flash, the first thing he does is apologize, saying sorry. It took me 1,000th of a second to register that you were there. So it's understand that he was going so fast he didn't even know it was Superman until it actually registered in his brain. So and Superman already saw him heading across country and decided to get in his path. So in this little part right here, Superman actually beat him to that point that they were at there right now. Flash is already in pursuit, but Superman beat him to the tree. Which, in kind of a way, I think they're throwing it in there again. They're throwing it in there subconsciously that Superman is faster than the Flash. So, but we're not going to get into that. That's a discussion for a whole nother video. So, he wanted to stop. Superman just had one question. Flash is like, well, "Come on, hurry up! I have a couple places to be." And Superman just wanted to ask him, "When you run across country, what do you see?" And Flash basically told him that he doesn't see anything. He just sees blurs. He just sees blurs unless he really makes an effort to concentrate on one particular thing or concentrate on something he's looking at. When he's running, the only thing he sees is a blur. And Superman says, so that's all he wanted to know. Flash asks Superman, has he been involved in any Red K lately, because he's feeling kind of emotional, kind of feel that. So, but that's all Superman wanted to know. So Flash blasts off. Superman takes off, and then we see him. He goes outside once again, outside of Earth's atmosphere. We see him floating above Earth, and we see him looking at that picture of the woman and her husband that died of the brain tumor. And of course, probably in this picture, the thoughts are running through his head about what the lady said, about him not being there, him not being able to save her husband. And from here, Clark has a flashback back to when he was on the farm with him and Jonathan. And we have some little dialogue right here that basically what he's doing is he's giving him a life lesson. Just like Uncle Ben gave Peter Parker a couple of life lessons, told him a couple of stories back in the day to keep him grounded, some things that he has to remember. So right here, he flashed back to a conversation that him and his father had. So after that little flashback, we go back to Earth. A couple of kids playing in the park, playing baseball. Next thing you know, look up. Oh, it's Superman. He comes up out of the sky. He falls down, and he just picks up. He picks up the soil in his hand. You can see you can just see the sadness all over his face. He picks up the soil. The kids are wondering, why is he walking? Why isn't he flying? And one kid's like, I don't know, but it must be important. And that's the end of that little preview. And then it gives you, starts you grounded, starts next month in Superman 701. So I am very interested in seeing what type of consequences or actions are going to come from this storyline now. Grounded, you could take Grounded as a couple of ways. You could take Grounded in many ways. Maybe that Superman's going to try to be more human. He's going to try to be more attentive to what's going on Earth. Another thing that you could look at it like, it's grounded. Maybe he won't fly anymore. Maybe he'll just be the type of Superman that just stays on the ground to make sure that he can try to be everywhere at once, even though it's impossible even for him to be everywhere at once. But maybe he wants to be in more places and probably help more people, but you never know. We're just going to have to find out next month when Superman 701 hits store shelves. And that's been our look inside of this big anniversary edition of Superman number 700. I hope you enjoyed these videos. I had a good time making them. And I had a good time trying to go into a little in-depth about each story and try to give a little feedback about what's going on. So that's Superman number 700, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this little comic book review. I have more comic book reviews of more superheroes and more comic books coming up in the future. So until next time, this is Sean Adams from Geek Talk signing off. Hope you guys have a good time.